the scenes.
Welcome back to Behind the Scenes. E's half-hour look at the ABC series Homefront. You know, sound stages on a studio lot can seem very real when you're watching a show at home. But when you work on them day in and day out, they seem just as real, thanks to the talent and the hard work of the people who build the sets and supply the props.
Ma'am, they said you got to accent. You ain't the positive healing. Mine ain't the negative and latched on to the...
I would say, first of all, this is tile that we reproduced. The drugstore that we used in San Pedro had this exact tile. We wanted to make similarities, so part of it's copied from the drugstore we used in the pilot, and then additional stuff was designed and made so it'd work as a set on stage. This is a piece of furniture that was duplicated for the show. We used something similar for the pilot and the first couple shows, and we duplicated. So everything in here is something that Homefront owns. There's nothing in here that's rented. And that becomes very important when you're doing a series, that you're not paying rent for any valuable pieces, that you fabricate everything. Even to, these were fabricated in our prop shop right here on the lot to look like the old ones.
A lot of research goes into Homefront, and the creators often go right to the source.
I actually called my father and said, Dad, where did you buy prophylactics in the 40s? And he said, well, at the drugstore, but we always waited till all the women left and we asked the druggist in person. So I put that in the show.
And if there was a woman behind the counter instead of a man, the guys who wanted to buy a condom would wait over by the magazine rack and read and read and read and read and read until the woman behind the counter was replaced. So actually, you could say that self-consciousness of the period contributed to literacy. Maybe even the sales of magazines, I don't know.
Those cookies are real, but don't eat one. Some of the stuff is real, some of the stuff isn't real. But I would fix you an ice cream, but we don't have any. We're out today. But now we're going to the Metcalf house, which was one of the first sets that we built. It was built for the pilot, stayed here all during the time that we were down until we started episode 2, then dressed it all back again and fluffed it up, as we say, and started shooting episode 2. Let's see, let's go through the kitchen here. Now you're going to have a surprise. We don't have a kitchen wall here. It's gone. So it's over here. We were shooting yesterday. Major scenes were being shot from the sink area into the house. So they took it away. We have a great stove right here. We catch our stove.
This is what it's like when they do shoot in the close quarters of the kitchen.
Charlie, I asked you to take this chicken over to Mrs. Seneff. Now I'll go bad.
Miss Kay, I'm sorry, I forgot. I'll pay for it.
Paying for it is beside the point.
Anne is a paradox on film and also to myself. She is a woman who has created a lot of external controls to give order to her life. But inside, I think there's this really joyous, free, a woman with a sense of humor, trying to get out. And she fights with her family and she fights with herself. Between those two sides. I think of myself as a nice person, but I have a temper inside, and I think I'm afraid to show that temper in my own life, and I respect Anne for that strength and bravery, that what she believes in, she has the bravery to say it, and the chips fall where they may.
Where are we taking this?
Take this from Wendy's tirade at the stove and her exit.
What?
Tirade. It's not exactly a tirade.
I found it a moving speech.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, like a moment. Moving moment.
A moving tirade.
On this day of shooting, Kyle Chandler is only an onlooker, but playing the role of a professional baseball player is also a chance for him to explore history.
This show has allowed me to branch into just about every type of acting. I mean, there's the heavy stuff, and then there's the light stuff, and then there's the comedy, and there's the opportunity of being able to work with other actors that are so good and learning from them. So it's given me a whole range of different things to work with, and like I said, it's my first series starting out, so I'm absolutely blessed by that.
With all the attention paid to detail for a period show like Homefront, sometimes the props serve a practical purpose for the actors.
In 2 years, this is how far I've gotten. So, but it's, I've never made anything. Sometimes just meditation, I sort of do it. Haven't gotten too far, though. I think the show should run 7 years, and I may get a little baby scarf out of it.
Now it's off to the Davis apartment, the housekeepers for the Sloans.
The things in our apartment, the Davis's apartment, you pick up and you say, my mother had this thing right here, like this, or there's a picture that's similar to it, or sometimes just the kind of lack of light. I don't know if that makes sense, but the lack of light in the old furniture and the mismatched things, you know, they sort of remind me of it. There's a lot of things, some of the wallpaper. They do a lot to keep it very close to the reality of that time period.
Next up on Behind the Scenes, the Emmy Award-winning costumers for Homefront show their stuff.
This is a corset, which all us ladies are so glad we don't have to wear anymore. There we go. Very nice. The girls do have to wear these on the show. They don't like it, but they do wear them.
Behind the scenes. Behind the scenes.
Welcome back to Behind the Scenes, E's half-hour look at the ABC series Homefront, a show set in the 40s, when radio left so much to the imagination. But now, thanks to television, we can take you into the costumers' cages. That's what they call them. After all, there's nothing like going into somebody's closet to see what's really going on.
Ma'am, they said you got to accent. You ain't the positive healing. Mine ain't the negative and right.
Welcome to the Homefront wardrobe department. And I'd like to show you, first of all, Mrs. Sloane's clothes. She plays the wealthiest woman on our show. All our clothes are from the 40s. So let me just show you a couple of things here. We have her minks, which nobody wears anymore, but which on our show the ladies, of course, do wear. Move down. She has, obviously, the most clothes of any woman on the show. She's the wealthiest woman, so she has a lot of clothes. This is one of her dresses. It's an Eisenberg original, which is very hard to find nowadays. Worth lots and lots of money. Could be in a museum right now. Let's put that there. Then we have, this is our Lemo tomato juice girl, which this is her costume for that section of the show. Where did you get that? This is the one thing we actually made this from scratch.
There'll be more on the Lemo tomato juice girl a little later. But right now, on to the clothes Hattie Winston wears.
This one actually came from Ohio. We had someone down there who was looking for us and sent us a bunch of stuff in boxes. We do that a lot on the show. We have people all over the country who are out there looking for stuff for us.
What I find is that once I began to put on the layers of Gloria Davis, my physical carriage actually changes. I tend to become more reserved. And it's interesting, though, because putting on the clothes and the heels and all of that, it tends to add a certain grace, a certain gracefulness, if you will. I like it. I like it. I like it very much.
Very different bust shape than nowadays, and that's why all the girls have to wear these. Otherwise, the dresses wouldn't look right. The dots would be in the wrong place. And these are all actually unworn, never worn, still have the tags. We found them in a store down in the Midwest somewhere and sent me a bunch, unworn. Perfect.
Wearing this hairdo is a trip. Actually, I look exactly like my grandmother. I had, well, two grandmothers, don't we all, somewhere. But my grandmother Love, who I knew was this woman, this would be one of her dresses. A lot of this stuff, I in fact suggested I wear white gold instead of gold, which is what all the women that I knew wore, platinum, or, you know, this white gold.
They were pretty inexpensive, like this bracelet. It's from the period. That was $120 because it wasn't real, but back then it was probably $30, which was extremely expensive for the period. And a lot of pins. This is an Eisenberg piece. Let me hold this up for you. This has matching earrings and pin, all of which go together. He did that. Everything matched. They did that, that designer.
That seems pretty in style now.
Yeah, I think that it's really has never gone out of style. I think people have worn them for years and years and just not realized what they are. So if anybody out there has any of these and wants to sell them to the show, they're more than welcome to call.
It's one of our suits. You know, double-breasted suits are always in fashion. The thing that makes the double-breasted suit from this period different is the lapel, of course, is very wide. The shoulders are very wide, and they made the waist kind of narrow. Men were a lot smaller in the 20s, 30s, and 40s, and before that. So you'll find that these suits are a lot more narrow. So what I had to do, like for Mr. Sloan, I had to take an original suit that worked on him. And luckily, working at Warner Brothers, in the Warner Brothers fabric department, there are wools and suiting material from the 40s that actually are stamped from the 40s. We were able to take those from that department, take an original suit from the period to our tailor shop, and have it copied. And therefore, I can copy just about anything that's out there. There isn't as much men's clothes as there is women's clothes, so you have to kind of make it as you go along.
Coming up next on Behind the Scenes, you'll meet the woman who gets a taste of fame through tomato juice. After all, she is the Lemo Tomato Juice Girl.
Lemo tomato juice is the best, and that's no jest. We're popping our best.
Behind the scenes.
The
Scenes.
Welcome back to Behind the Scenes. E's half-hour look at the ABC dramatic series Homefront. Now, you've seen most of the characters on the show, and you've seen how they dress and how they live. But a trip to River Run, Ohio would not be complete without meeting the Lemo Tomato Juice Girl.
Lemo tomato juice is the best, and that's no jest. We're popping our best. We know you'll think that it's the best drink to stay in the pink. So always reach for that Lemo. That's the M.O. Don't be a schmo. Be in the know and buy Lemo. L-E-M-O.
The way it worked in the 40s, every week the radio show was performed before a studio audience. So were the commercials. And the spokesman, or woman, played a very important role.
Sunsuit? Lemo tomato juice outfit? The sunsuit? That was cute, wasn't it? I get to wear it each and every week. I really like it. No, it's cute. And it's very period. It's like the Betty Grable commercialism that was so big then. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. My dad was in World War II, so a lot of it is, well, it's nice because it's like I get to live in his time, and when he watches the show, we share something from it, you know, and he says that I remind him of his younger sister. And a lot of my ideas from the show come from my dad. Originally they did, and now it's sort of like your character grows on its own. Can you fix the veil?
What's wrong with the veil?
The lace is torn. Can you repair it?
No!
One more time, please. Excuse my language.
That would probably be a...
Hi. I came in for more. I want more attention. Sweetie.
This is Juliana Santini.
And she's my friend. She's been very nice to me
I'm
today.
her friend. I've been really nice to her. You've been really nice to me, too, today.
We've had a rough day.
We've had a very rough day. We've been doing concentration camp stuff all day. Her and her flashbacks.
Really, really hard day.
But
And that's the thing about
amazing
having a
work.
cast like this, is I feel like I've been completely supported all day long.
I like the 40s better. You know, ethically, morally, politically, it was great. And the courtship of women. You walk off the set or you walk off the lot and you're in regular clothes, which is awful. Once you've worn beautiful 40s clothes, it's awful. And you walk outside and a guy comes up to you at a bar, you know, and he's got this kind of, and you want like a Jeff or a Hank or a Charlie to, you know, court you, and it's very disappointing. We live a little vicariously through our lives, can you tell?
I'll be seeing you in all the old familiar places.
Well, Now, time to come back to the 90s. Thanks for joining us on the set of the ABC dramatic series Homefront. And we'll see you next time on Behind the Scenes.
I'll be looking